Hey, 6 p.m. Lenny Schmidt, Tuesday night. How you doing? This is a Total Schmidt Show. Buckle up. Hey, welcome to the Total Schmidt Show. Whether you're watching on the Lenny Schmidt Comedy Network on YouTube or you're listening on podcasts, we have a new intro, new theme song. Let's do this. Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of pianists, piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at.
That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe. I don't know. And weekly? Nah, maybe. Sort of.
Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of Hey, this is a Total Schmidt Show. It's Tuesday at 6. I'm out again on a ship. I'm on a ship. Talking to comics, entertainers, so forth. Stuff like that. If you watched the show before, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. If you haven't, look around me. There's all kinds of information, social media info, stuff, ways to support the show for free, support the show financially. You can go to my website, click pay if you can. Throw a little as little as $1 to us. We'll take $1. We'll take $1. We don't care. The show is solely supported by my followers, subscribers, and Patreon members. You can even join Patreon once a month fee, and you get all kinds of stuff. You get free merch, tickets to shows, stuff like that. And it helps me to keep, bouncing around talking to entertainers. Today, Quincy Carr from Baltimore. He's a guy I worked with for the first time on a ship just a couple of weeks ago. Sit back and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Quincy Carr. So this is, dude, I never met you before, bro. Where are you out of?
Out of VA, Virginia. 2 up, 2 down.
Oh, okay. 2 up, 2 down? Is that what that's called? VA? No way. I've never heard that before.
2 up and 2 down.
All right. Right on.
Well, like, I'm originally from Texas. So the military is what brought me to VA, and I just decided to stay there after I got out.
Right.
Almost 2 decades ago.
2 decades ago?
Bruh, I'm old, man.
How old are you, brother?
47, though.
Dude, you look great, man.
You know what? I try to be the best I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I actually tell people? I say, honestly, it's either one or two things. It's the whole thing with, black don't crack.
Right, yeah.
Or my mother has lied on the birth certificate.
Okay. Oh, that could be.
Yeah,
all right.
Like, maybe I'm adopted.
Yeah.
She just ain't told me the truth.
I think it's the black don't crack thing.
It's or
yeah.
Because we're in this business of bringing laughter to other people. Maybe that's just because I know I have to be happy and although we deal with mental issues.
Yeah, true. However, also the shit we go through. Yeah. How long you been doing stand up?
24 and a half years.
Okay, now? I got it's a hard. I'm not complaining because we're fortunate. We're very fortunate for what we get to do, but it's not the easy. It's not that easy. It is a hard life. It wears on you. The traveling, different places, different weeks. You know what I mean?
People.
Yeah, you're entertaining people you don't know every single night. That wears on you mentally too, on some levels. Yeah. I know a lot of comics the last few years. A lot of comics have passed away in their 50s. You know what I mean? That freaks me out every time. I'm 58.
They pass away in their 50s?
Yeah, dude. In the last year, I've had a handful of friends that have just passed away.
Really?
Dude, the road life is hard on you, man. And some of these guys, early in the road years, I was one of those hard party guys, too. And those guys, some of those guys were like that. Like, Geechee Guy just died. I don't know if you know him.
No, I don't.
He just passed 2 years ago. He just passed 2 weeks, a month ago.
Wow.
And he's a good friend of mine. But he's an old school guy. He was on, what was that first show they did with Ed McMahon?
Star Search.
That's it. He was on Star Search. Yeah, he was on that. So, but there's a lot. I know a lot of comics in their 50s. They just, Bob Saget passed. He was 60s.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I think as far as them passing, how like they say older people die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's trending like that, where comics are passing at a younger age, whether it's in the 50s or something, I don't think it's so much a broken heart. I just think it's just a broken what word am I looking for?
Faith in humanity?
Yeah, it's like a broken what it's a word that I'm looking for that just genre.
Okay.
Like comedy is a genre of entertainment, right? And
Okay.
so over the last decade, you can see how that genre has just been affected by social media, allowing people to feel like they can just say what they want to say when they want to say it and not have any repercussions. Right. So everyone just feels entitled that they can just, oh, you know what? Like they'll walk up to you. There's people, that'll come up to you and be like, I just wanted to tell you, I don't like your shirt. Like, you didn't have to say anything. Like, you just could have just kept going. Like, did you have to tell me that?
Right.
But because of how social media is, it gives everyone that openness to be able to talk like that. So I think comics are dying of just not being the way we used to be back
Yeah, I think I agree with you there because we both kind of talk about that on stage a little bit.
Right.
Where it changes. Also, I always talk about people are more apt to say stuff to you while you're performing.
Right.
And
it's even more so.
Yeah,
now
and it's
ever.
not like because like I always say this. I say this on a lot of shows where if you watch social media, it's always a you see a lot of interactions of comics with the crowd or heckling or whatever.
Right.
So everybody comes into a show prepared to talk and chat, and a lot of people want to be involved in the show. You know what I mean? They think they're going to be funny or whatever.
Carol.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Carol. No, Carol's a great example. And on ships, it's even more. It's more. What's the word? It's more obvious on
connected.
ships. Yes, yeah. 'Cause after a few days, everybody knows Carol.
Right.
So, and if Carol's at a function, Carol's the center of attention.
Right.
So when Carol and no disrespect to Carol, I get it.
Right.
I understand, and she's very sweet. She's very, she was great. She wasn't a shitty heckler, but lots of people feel like they got to be part of you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they'll come up. I love when they come. They go, "Well, you're welcome." We don't do that. I've been doing this. I didn't really need your help to do this. Show.
You know what? A good buddy of mine, I'm sure you'll have him on here too, Rob Rassner, comedy magician. He has this great line when he brings somebody on stage and like he needs that crowd participant to come up.
Yeah, it's a big part of his show,
right? And then he'll ask them something, and then they just start feeling themselves, and then they just start saying extra stuff. He's like, "Hold up, time out. I wrote the script, so you don't have that many lines."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's almost like you got to play with how you interact with them, and then you still got to kind of control that.
Yeah, you've got to be
more
mentally prepared. Your head has to be more on a swivel. I just talked about this on a podcast last week. You got to be prepared. Like the show you saw last night that I did, I'm taping a new album. I do a new recording every year.
Okay.
And that's most of the stuff. That's the new recording. I'm doing it in 2 months. So I got about 2 months to run the whole act back to forward. But now I prepare the show to be able to go into the crowd and talk to the audience because it's going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta if you're not prepared for a taping, if you're not prepared for that to happen during a taping, and it happens when you're taping, you're gonna lose your shit.
Screwed, man.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna be like, motherfucker, I'm working on this bit for you know what I mean? So you've got to somehow be able to go into the crowd and come back out immediately,
right?
And stay in your stuff.
Look, man, that's where I have a fear. Okay, so I have a speech impediment. I stutter. And like I tell people on stage, I say the reason why I don't do it when I'm regularly talking is because I don't do it in front of people I don't know. So obviously, I don't know the audience that's listening to this. I barely know you, so I'm not going to really allow my realness to come out. But when people know me, they'd be like, wow, like, okay. So it's not like so bad where it's like that, but you'll be like, oh yeah, I could tell that you were stuttering to get that word out. And so I tell people on stage, I said, that's why I don't mess with the audience in a way. Now, I'm aware enough as a comic to not be oblivious to things that happen.
Right.
So I'm going to address something that happened, but I don't, like, I know a bunch of brilliant comics, like they can go into crowd work like it's nothing.
Right.
I stay in my little spaceship. Like, that's my safe haven because I feel like if I go out there and if I'm just trying to just grab some material or see what happens and then I get stomped, then I get too familiar and then I start stuttering, it's not going to work.
Oh, wow, right on.
Yeah, so mine is just more of a conscious thing where I stay away from the audience if I can avoid it. But if something happens, yes, I'll always address it.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Well, then that's got to be even more of a task for you on cruise ships. Because after 7 days, like on a ship like this, by your last show, there's going to be people that come to most of your shows. I mean, you get a lot of people come back.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's different than doing a club where it's not the same crowd. It's not going to happen.
No. And the thing that I learned, like I remember my very first cruise ship. As a matter of fact, the cruise ship that we're on right now was the very first one I did back in 2018 on this same cruise, the Alaskan cruise, right?
Right, yeah.
And I remember at that time I'd been doing comedy for 17, 18 years, and I said, okay, yeah, this is good. And then I come on here, and I question my ability to be a comic.
Really?
Because I immediately got put on as a headliner. Some guys that
Yeah, there was
I
an
know,
opener for a while.
Yeah, like they get put on as an opener and then they get bumped up eventually. But they saw whatever they saw. Shout out to my man Frank Townsend.
Frank Townsend, yeah.
Yes,
Frank.
he's
Great guy.
He's the one that got me on here. But he he told me, he said, Quincy, I know that you can do it. So
Yeah.
I don't even question whether you have the ability. I know that you're likable, that you appeal to a lot of people. This is that type of shit and that type of crowd.
Right.
Man, I get up there and I'm like, I don't know if I'm built for this. Because I didn't realize I was going on cruise ships doing stuff that work on land without kind of getting my way. Because you know how, so some comics can do the hacky cruise ship jokes.
Yeah.
And then they do the same thing that
There's fucking
other
toilet
comics are
seat.
doing.
And
Yes.
Yeah, right. Or the toilet pressure. And,
Right, and everybody
Yeah.
does the same exact type of deal. And so I said, okay, I need to watch this guy. So there's a guy named Phil Palisol.
I know Phil. Okay.
Okay.
I worked with him once a while ago. Yeah.
Brilliant comic. So
Right.
my second gig, I was with him. And when I tell you, watching the field general, like Frank Townsend said, man, I watched that guy. Like, the guy was just that solid. And so it was at that point I said, okay, I need to start observing more.
Right.
And not just think that, okay, I'm going to just talk about stuff that work on land.
Right.
Once I started to open myself up to watching, to people watching, to observing, then I was able to have a good first 5 minutes of my set talking about something that we can all relate to. And then I can easily get into what I know already works on land. And so those were the things that I used to kind of get better.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Yeah, because you're right. Because there's a different animal doing ships.
Yeah.
We always talk about this. And dude, if you're a good if you're out here working constantly, you're a pretty good comic as far as I'm concerned. Unless, I mean, there's still a lot of guys that do the hack thing. I mean, I see a lot of people where they go up and it's hacky, and you're like.
Right.
I mean, I'm real picky about my comics. You know what I mean? I've been doing this a long time. So, like, I know certain people are funny. I respect someone if they do well and the crowd loves them and they work hard. Then I respect the work ethic. I'll never go, you blah blah blah. You shouldn't be doing it. But if you sell that show, then I guess good for you. But as far as being an artist, I consider it an art form, not just writing the jokes,
Right.
but performing live in front of an audience
Yes.
is an art form, and performing live in front of an audience on a cruise ship, I think, is a separate set of art form. I think it's a lot different than doing one show in Chicago and then doing a show the next night in Chicago, as opposed to doing one show here and then the next night another show.
Have you ever done colleges? Because I think that colleges is a different beast.
I've done it. Yeah, it is. I've done a few colleges,
Yeah.
not many. And I never really got deep into that market. I did a couple. They paid great and they were awesome. But I just ended up going a different direction. But you're right. And that's another one that now is even more fucking awoke and wake. And they're real picky about your material.
And it's funny because you got some 17, 18, 20-year-old evaluating you as a grown man.
Yeah.
I
don't think this is appropriate. You're like, I've been telling the joke for 20 years. It's not appropriate. What are you talking about? And we're smart enough to know what is appropriate and what isn't. You know what I mean? With comics have always been able to push the boundary, and that's what that's what makes us comics. Comedian, a good comedian. Is that you push the boundary in some level. You go a little bit further than other people would go, and people are like, whoa, and that's kind of whether or not you're making people think about a situation or whether or not you're just fucking around telling a joke. It's it's the same process.
And it's not having a fear, not having a fear of trying something that. Like if it's not you, so there's two differences that I think as a comic. You can be the type of comic that's trying to show people you're a comic,
right,
and that's easy to pick out of a crowd.
Sure, right.
A person that's trying to show you that they're a comic,
right.
Or are you a person that can just talk about something and somebody could be like, yeah, I can see that was a real experience that person had.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think the differences are from the ones that kind of make it, and we. Comics got to get out of our head, this person, how in the hell are they on right now?
Yeah.
With that type of set.
I know. Yeah, but every comic has that.
It's tough.
I know.
It's so you should be like, I'm sitting here really writing, but everybody's gonna think their own stuff don't stink.
Right. Well, it's a result of what we had to do to get where we are.
Right.
In order to just get here,
right,
you got to go to open mics, and you got to go to and then you got to be good.
Right.
You got to be picked, and then you got to do it over it, and then you suck, and then you got to get better. So in order just to get here, you got to be better than the other guys around you.
Right.
So that's kind of grained into our head. Then when you start working as a professional, it's just in your head. Now it's about booking work.
Yeah.
You know. So,
no, it's about followers. How many followers?
Well, it's followers. All right, it's followers. What followers?
How many followers?
Yeah, but I think followers is. I think followers is kind of overrated. Only for the fact that you can buy followers.
Yes.
There's a lot of followers don't mean shit. I know guys that have lots of thousands of followers.
Right.
Doesn't help them on the road. You know, it doesn't help them in a club. I mean, the ideal goal kind of is to have a lot of followers and then to be able to sell a gig in Seattle or something. Or that's what the followers are supposed to help you.
Once it's the authentic followers. See, this personally, because my goal, or one of my goals, is to, by the time I turn 50, and I've been working on this for the last 2 years, but to open up the very first clean adult comedy club, because my brand is I created this brand of comedy called Quality Comedy.
Quality Comedy, yeah. I checked out your stuff before.
Yeah.
When I know who you were, and who the fuck is this guy? So I checked out. I always check out.
Oh, him.
If I don't know you, I gotta see who this guy is. So I saw all the stuff. So it's great. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I recently, I've been working at brand for a while, and then earlier this year, I got the brand trademark. So Quality Comedy is now
good for you, bro.
Trademark.
Oh, that's good.
And I started thinking about that during the pandemic, because I was like, okay, we got to be able to come out of this thing better than we walked into it, right?
Right.
And some people were just satisfied with the fact, well, we ain't got no work, da-da-da. But I started thinking, what about when we come out of it, who's going to have the upper hand? Like, who's in the background working hard? And I said, I need to be doing that and need to be preparing. So then I thought about it. I said, I need to trademark this brand. So fast forward, every comedy club that exists now is just a regular comedy club. Not like regular as in they suck, but they're all the same, right? So they allow any information, any material. So I said, I want to open up the very first quality comedy club that has clean adult humor, no matter what. So you have people that go to church, you have people, just regular folks that they don't want to hear the profanity, but at the same time, what I've noticed through the brand is it forces comics to not think clean means church or clean means corny. Okay. It just find a clean and creative way to talk about the same stuff that people can enjoy in a regular comedy club.
Right.
So I tell people, I said, don't put me in that box of he's a Christian, he's clean because he doesn't curse.
Right.
No. I curse a lot.
Yeah.
I just chose a long time ago, clean equals more green. So if I can keep it clean, that's what allowed me to get on cruise ship.
Sure.
And so I said, with this brand, I think it's going to become a new category in comedy. So are you a blue comic? Are you a clean comic? Are you a corporate comic? Oh, you're a quality comic. Boom. So that's my goal. And, God willing, in the next 3 years, I'll have that comedy.
Dude, good for you. First of all, that's smart. I became... when I started working ships, they told me I had to be clean for X amount of shows or whatever, and I started writing more clean. I started doing, and I noticed a couple of things. One is, first of all, I do a new recording. I do a thing through 800 Pound Gorilla. I work with them. Gotcha. They released my stuff on digital and Sirius. And years ago, right when I started, a friend of mine, Colin Moulton, shout out to him, he's a great guy, does a lot of corporate gigs now. I used to do ships. I don't know. Anyway, he said, dude, if you do a clean album, he goes, it will stream 10 times as much. Yeah. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. And I've been doing shifts for a minute then. I go, it would be stupid for me not to do a clean album. Yeah. I got tons of clean stuff. Yeah. So I did the first one clean. And the first one, and it streamed like crazy. And I'm like, oh man, dope. You gotta be kidding me. So I did the second one clean, same thing. So now that's why, like that show last night, that could be a clean show. I'm working on cleaning it up and pulling certain things out, and because I can record the show and then edit it and pull out anything that isn't appropriate, right, but then give it to them as clean. But I noticed, and I always tell people, I judge people by their clean shows. I'll come and watch your family show to see how good of a comic you are. Because I think, I learned, like you said, it's easy to get, you can be church and you can be real over clean and kind of hacky or whatever, but you can also, it makes you a better writer, and it makes you much more clever. Right. Yeah, to be able to do that stuff. And I learned that lesson. I told this story a million times. I saw the Wiggles. You ever heard of the Wiggles? No. it's a band for kids. It was a kid show, and they were a band, and it was toddlers, and they were kind of like the Teletubbies. So before the Teletubbies, and the kids loved them, and the kids loved the show. But they would tour. They would do a live show, and I would go, all right, I gotta go. And the daughters, at the time, my daughters were toddlers. And they're like, we want to go see the Wiggles. And they go, all right,
The Wiggles? That sounds bad.
Yeah, but they were out in Australia, and they made million. I mean, they were rich. They were. But here's where I'm going with this. It's clean. It's clean entertainment.
Right.
So when they came to town, you had to go. You had to bring your kids. So they had whole families showing up, but what made it better was when I was there, I laughed my ass off. I mean, there was a ton of stuff in there that was kind of hidden and innuendo and just goofy and that just worked for me. And I go, I would go see that show again. Like I was jazzed. So I learned that early on. I'm like, you can be clean and entertained and be really entertaining. It was great. It was the Wiggles show. I loved it, man.
Yeah, I found that some comics, and it's always interesting. So if I have them do my show, I tell them it's clean adult humor. Now I know in TV, clean is you can still say ass, you can say bitch, and you can sometimes you say shit, and damn and all that. And I said none of that.
Yeah, the lines changed on TV.
Just go it. Just make it's like because my show is called the Quality Comedy Series. I've been running that since 2010.
Yeah.
So I tell them, I say it's clean adult humor. You can talk about any subject. Talk about the same stuff that you normally talk about when you're on stage. Take your profanity out.
Right.
Take the vulgar out.
Right.
Find a clean and creative way to say ass.
Right.
But not make it sound corny. Like you're trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
And I said, and most importantly, don't remind the audience, oh, I forgot, this is a clean da-da-da.
Yeah.
I said, that's the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And I always get the comment. So I got a question about this one bit. So I say, like, if you got to ask me, then that means that you're not able to think beyond.
Yeah.
Like, you know what is acceptable.
Sure.
Right? So don't ask, can I still say cock?
Yeah.
If I'm not saying.
Yeah, you're looking for me to bend the rule.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like I had this one cat, because I do, on my Quality Comedy Series, I do a segment called the Quality Comedy Showcase. So I let 3 comics, because I have a headline, so I let 3 comics be the feature, right? Well, the opening / the feature spot. And I give them 5 minutes each. And then I do this thing where I allow the audience to do what's called a silent vote. So their vote is they get a chip that's blue, red, or yellow. So the first comic is blue, second comic is yellow, the last comic is red. And after the comics are done, they take the chip. I say, I want to see more of this comic. They only do 5 minutes.
Right.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's easy. Man, this one comic comes to me and said, so, and I'm thinking he's joking because I just gave him a pep talk prior to the show. I said, yep, so remember, keep it, clean adult, no profanity whatsoever.
5 minutes, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And this dude comes up to me and said, so, just to be clear, I can't say shit. And I'm thinking he's joking.
Right.
Lenny.
You're like, shut up.
Right. This bastard went up there, and within 3 minutes, he said, I told her, you can't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like he said, shit, oh. No, he thought, he literally thought that was okay. And I said, what part of keep it clean with no profanity did you miss?
Yeah.
So,
Plus, in that situation, the word shit isn't relevant to the sentence. You know what I mean? It's just, you can easily throw stuff in there. Yeah. It's not necessary to say. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand a swear word when it's, then don't tell the joke if the word is necessary.
If you don't know how to find a clean and creative way to replace that.
Right.
So, like my background, I'm coming from like this comedy club. It's called the Thoroughgood Inn Comedy Club in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And their biggest thing was, write clean so you'll be able to deliver clean at any time. If you write it dirty, you'll never trust replacing the dirty.
It's a great point.
With
you
clean.
can't, right? There's stuff you can do in a clean show, you can also do in the adult show, but not the other way around.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's where the basis of me being able to, do, like, even on the cruise ship, like, I'll get folks to say, like, I noticed on your adult show you were talking about topics, but you didn't curse not once. And I said, that's just a part of the brand that I practice, a part of the brand that I have. And I said, I could have easily said, okay, for the people who know me, I'll keep it clean and adult, but when I go on these cruise ships, don't nobody really know me, I'll do that. No, because what happens? You fuck around and blow up,
Yeah.
And then that guy's not. When
Plus,
I
you're
saw
building
him,
a brand, brother.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're building a brand.
Exactly.
So you got to be
So,
consistent on a ship, and in Baltimore,
There
and
you
in
go.
Miami, and you know what I mean. You got to be
No
consistent.
matter what.
And people see you on the internet now. I mean, everybody sees you somewhere.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And so it's always a huge thing. So yeah, so I take it very seriously. And another issue that I had back in the day was because you were talking about it earlier when we had to come up, because we came up the old school way, right? You gotta be able to have a solid 5 minutes, and then you get that solid 5 minutes. Well, let me check you out as a host to see if you can host the show. Okay, well, you've done well. You know how to introduce people. You know how to keep a show going. Now let me move you up to feature. Now after you do that for a couple of years, okay, I see you've been growing your set. You go up the hell. They don't do it. They skip that whole process now.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you got 100,000 followers.
100%.
You're a headliner.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah. No, they do it all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Like, they've completely skipped the process, but in that, I was always told to be like, Quincy, you have to be able, I have to be able to see that you have a solid 10 minutes. Every time you come up, and this was in the beginning, you always do a different set. And I said, because for some reason, I struggle with doing the same exact thing, because then I feel weird about myself, right? Not growing or expanding. So I had to swallow that and then pause. I had to swallow that and finally start doing the same exact set for a long time.
Yeah.
And then once I got my foot in the door where they can trust that I can do all that, and then I just started getting back to what I was used to. But it's hard for me to repeat verbatim.
Yeah, I always hated that approach. The same approach in LA too. When you were to LA, the deal was get a 10-minute set that everybody knows and do it so that people can figure out who you are.
Yes.
And I always hated that. I go,
Yes.
that doesn't make you. I don't think that makes you a better comic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because it doesn't allow you to see and say something. It just kind of be in the moment.
Right. Plus, can't you watch 10 minutes of you doing one set and 10 minutes of you doing another set and realize, connect the dots? Like, you can't go, it's the same guy. It's the same point of view. It's the same thought process. It's the same, you know what I mean? That's kind of, I think that's the way to go. Like, I showcased for Jamie at the Laugh Factory a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And he's always like, I need to see you. And the last time I did it was, I don't know, it was a while ago, 8 years ago. Because I need to see him again.
Jamie is at the Laugh Factory or at...
Laugh Factory. Jamie Masada.
Improv.
No, Improv is Levity. That owns Levity. That's what's his name? He doesn't own the guys. Well, yeah, Levity owns the Improv, and then Jamie Masada owns the Laugh Factories.
Okay, yeah, I thought there was a Jamie that was not an owner of it, but a manager of the Hollywood Improv.
I don't think there's a Jamie there.
2013.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Bob was there. Rita has been there forever, and then the front office is now Levity that books and runs everything.
Got you. Okay.
And then Zoe's still kind of involved, I think. She's there, and then I can't remember. And I deal with, I think, Sarah out of their ship office. They have a different ship division, and then a management division, and then the main division is Levity, which is Judy Marmel that handles Bert and Taylor and all the big names.
Oh,
you know
wow.
What I mean? I mean, they handle the huge.
So Stephanie, the one that books the Levity for the
she's in the
ship.
she's in the ship department
Makes
over
sense.
there. And then Aaron is there. Aaron used to book the main Improv.
Yeah.
And when we came back from COVID, Aaron, because Stephanie was on hiatus, they put her, during COVID.
Right.
And then Aaron booked the first wave because I worked for these guys right out of the COVID.
Okay.
And then I worked through Aaron I worked through Aaron. And she was there for a couple of months.
Got you. So who are you represented by then? Because I know I'm represented by Don Casino and then Levity.
Yeah, my agent is Artist West Entertainment.
I've heard of them.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm with them, and they book me. Levity books me through them.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I pay my commissions to Artist West, and then I've been working for Levity. I've been working for Levity and Narration for a while now.
Oh, wow.
8-9 years maybe.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Man, that's cool.
Something like that. Yeah, no, it's good. It's great. I can't remember why we started that thread. Why we started talking about that.
It was knows about the different comedy clubs that want you to do.
Oh, Jamie and stuff.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh, because Jamie the last time he saw me. And when I started out, I showcased for him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
When I started, I showcased for Mitzi turned me down twice.
Mitzi.
Yeah. I mean, and she looked at me with disgust one night. I got off stage, was standing, and I went in the back of the room, stood next to her, and just kind of looked at her and smiled, and she just looked at me like I threw up on her, and just walked away. And I'm like, whatever. She just looked at me like I threw up on her. She didn't like me. But Jamie, the last time I saw him it was 8 years ago.
Okay.
And he goes, I'm going to have to see him again. And I said, no. I go, no, I'm not. Dude, I've been doing this over 20 years. That's it. That's the package.
Right.
I go, I'm not going to change. My point of view is not going to change. By then, I was already doing stuff about the kids.
Right.
Do a lot of shit about my daughters.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm not any different than, you're not going to see anything different.
Right.
Really, the point of view is going to be the same. If you want me to be funnier, then you just didn't like the stuff. I mean, I did my best 10 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I just said, no, I'm not coming back. And I just never went back there again.
Yeah, it's like, let me just see how much. Be like, see, I get that if you're talking about a new comic or a newbie on the scene, but like, there's got to be some level of respect because they don't show that same levels, like I said, for the comics that have multiple followers. Thousands and hundreds of thousands. They don't give them that. I need to see a little bit. No, they just be like,
they don't give a shit. No, it's just they'll fill the door. Like I talk about this a lot. Like Zanies in Chicago kind of changed their booking format to where they used to book you 6 nights. You work Tuesday through Sunday. You know what I mean? Well, the problem with guys like that or comics like that have the followers, they can't carry a show for a week.
Right.
They can't carry a regular crowd.
Right.
Like you and I could go into a club like this.
Right.
We're just, nobody knew who we were. Nobody booked this cruise to see Quincy.
Right.
It's just, we're the comics. Everywhere we go, we're the comics. So, but we deliver. We can go up and do a show.
Right.
And we've done every type of gig. We've done everything. So we can go in any room, read the room, and go, all right, this is what I need to do. Bam.
Right.
Those people, the followers, the people with the followers, they just play to their audience, which it's not bad. But that's their market. That's the whole market. So they can't book these people for a whole week. So all clubs were screwing up by booking these guys. I'll book this guy for a week. He's got 1,000 followers, 100,000 followers.
That's easy money.
Yeah, and one night people come out, and then the rest of the week the regulars are like, who's this guy?
Right.
And he just can't work the room. He can't do a regular like a show. But the way Zanies did it, what I think is smart. They book them now. They don't book you for a week. One night or 2 nights are based on how many people you can fill for the room, and they market it as such. And
as like a one-nighter.
Yeah, it's a 1 night or 2 nights in the city, whatever. He's here for the weekend, or he's here for Tuesday and Thursday, or this guy. They're here Tuesday and they're here Thursday, or they're here Friday at 8, then Friday at 10 is this show. They diversify their booking to where they'll book multiple acts throughout the week, and but they fill I assume it's doing well because I still see them doing it all the time. And I go back and play Zanies once a year, but I don't play downtown for a week anymore. I play Rosemont for a week, which is booked differently, and then I play like Sunday night is my night in downtown. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So how long have you been like in the comedy business?
37 years.
37.
Yeah.
All right. So have you had? Because I had a.
Wait, is that right? 37? What year is this?
It's a long time. What year is this? 23.
I started in 88, so 35 years, right? Maybe 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So have you? So I had a recent experience with. I've had some experiences with people that I asked to do stuff with me, whether it's helping with booking and helping with other things, so I can expand and grow.
Right.
And I recently had a crazy situation where I lost a $2,000 gig because my booking manager forgot to send out the contract after she established I would be available. This is the money that it's going to cost to have him. A 40-minute gig,
right?
$2,000, all inclusive. So my flight,
right,
whole hotel. And I'm like, I know how I want to feel about it, but like, have you ever had an experience like that in your time frame, and what did you do to overcome something? Oh, because I need help, bro. Right. I need to understand how do I, because I want to not punch her in the face, because I won't punch a woman. Is she
right now? I know. Is she your manager?
Yes, she's like the business manager.
She's your business manager.
Yeah.
Does she help you? Okay. Are you still working with her?
Well, this just happened, on this cruise, and so I told her, I said, I'm gonna handle what's in front of me right now because I have a 2-week contract, and these people need my focus.
Right.
We'll handle that once I get back.
Right.
But my biggest issue was with how I do stuff and the structure of how my business is. I go out and I lay the groundwork. So I got this gig from a previous cruise ship.
Right.
So I worked the hell out that cruise ship.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I did on a closing set, which is I'm sure probably the worst thing. But the cruise director said, "Hey, feel free to go." It was only supposed to be a 45-minute set. He said, if you're feeling it, you are the last show on the shift.
Yeah, there
the
you go.
last night.
Yeah,
I did an hour and a half.
Wow, right on, nice. Yeah.
And nobody left. Everybody was still there, and it was just great. And so from that cruise, I had this group of people from Utah. They said, hey, we think with your military experience, your stuttering experience, I mean, just the fact that you have overcome that and you're doing this, we would love to have you come speak to our kids. That's really what my next lane, I think, is just being a good, I don't know if it's a TED Talk or a positive speaker. And I was like, nice, cool, I'll get my manager to take care of it. So on the way here, I said, hey, I'm looking for plane flights. I don't know the exact time I need to be there. Can you get that for me? Because I don't see it in the calendar. Then when I got on the ship, she said, in so many words, I realized the contract was sitting in the drafts folder, and when she finally sent it, realized she hadn't sent it, the guy hit her back and said, yeah, we thought Quincy wasn't interested. So we went with
man.
Yeah. So I'm stuck with
How long you been working with her?
Since 2018.
Do you like her?
Yes, I think she's a great person. She's got a great heart. But it's just one of those deals, man, where it's like there are moments where there have been some missed things, but I'm the type of person, I want to see everybody win in everything I do.
Right.
So I overlook a lot of things, and I think over the time it's culminated to something of this nature, a $2,000 gig.
Right.
You know, so like, how would you deal with that if you were in that situation?
Well, that's rough, dude, because I don't have a business. I don't have a manager today. I handle my stuff. You know what I mean? I do everything on my own. So, but if I was in that situation and you still like her and you like working with her and you want to work with her, you want to keep her, maybe I would just oversee everything she does. You don't have to follow up and do stuff, but have her CC you on every email, every contact, every.
That's the thing, though, Lenny. It's like,
I know she's supposed to be. That's her job.
Right, but I'm known as not a micromanager. Look, so I know every aspect of how my business operates.
Okay.
And I think that's what puts the pressure on people doing stuff for me.
Yeah.
Because I've done it before. I know how to edit. I know how to book shows. I know how to, I know how to do just about everything that I try to get other people to do, so I can focus on expanding.
Right. Yeah.
And not doing all the little integral stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's the toughest part. And it's like I already feel like I don't give you an opportunity to feel like you are the person that's hired to do a job, because I'm always, hey, did you do this? Hey, because I haven't heard. Have you done this? Have you done? And so that's the weird thing.
Well, was she getting 10 or 50% of your stuff?
So 15% of what she books, which I feel like should be enough to keep you on your stuff.
Oh no, 100%. Right. Yeah. No, that's right.
That's tough, bro.
No, it is tough, man. But like, if you don't want the other, obviously the other option is to get rid of her and find another manager.
Right.
But then that means finding another manager.
Right.
Which is kind of. But if you can, and I know having her CC you on everything is a pain in the ass.
Right.
But if you at least see the emails, oh, good, she sent the contract. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So that kind of helps. But when it costs you money, though,
that's a tough one.
That's a big mistake. It's a big mistake.
Yes.
For getting to send a contract for a gig.
It's like the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. No, especially when you're
I've had little bitty cuts along the way in these last couple years, but I always just
Well, if there's that many of them, then you need to find another manager. If there's more than one, if it's just one mistake, I would go, all right, look, we need to talk. But if there's little things like that are costing you money, you gotta do something about it.
Gotcha.
I mean, you gotta. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. But if she's going to cost you, if it's happening over and over again, because you know why? She knows there's going to be no blowback, really.
Right.
To an extent.
Right.
She's like, well, it's okay. He'll understand. And you're doing it, but no, you don't. You know what I mean? Once you start dealing with money, it's a business, man.
Right.
It's a business. And like you said, you're trying to grow. You need her to do her part. If she's not doing her part, you can't do your part. The whole business is stifled.
Right. Right. So with you managing everything that you do, like, had there ever been a point where you felt like, okay, this is all cool, I'm doing it, but it would be better to have somebody that can actually handle these little bitty things?
Oh God, yeah, I'm there now. I'm always, but also part of me is like, I work too much. I do this. I'm doing the show, and then I edit this. I do a podcast with my daughter. I mean, there's a million things that I do, and then I book other lines, and I'm writing the new album, and I'm not having enough time focusing on the creative.
Right.
You know, I'm spending a lot of time editing and producing.
Doing the work that builds what you're putting
YouTube
out.
page and building with this and that, whatever, trying to get followers, doing all that production. You know, I'll spend all day just working on my YouTube page or my website.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I could be writing for, I could have been writing for 5 hours. You know, I wrote yesterday most of the day. It felt great. It was great.
Right.
It was the first time in a long time where I purposely took the whole day aside because I knew I had 2 shows last night. And I go, I'm going to write all day. I'm going to focus on the new material. I'm going to tighten it up, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bring it to the show, and I'm going to do it twice.
Nice.
So I did the show, and I sat in the green room between shows and listened to the show, took notes, changed it, went back in. It was one of the best days I've had in fucking years.
Nice.
You know? It was a blast.
Nice.
So I would love to have other people, but a part of it is, I kind of can't afford it, but yeah. And then I take that back because like you were talking about trademarking earlier. Mm-hmm. I paid to have my podcast name trademarked earlier. I hired a lawyer to look into it because the name of the show is Total Schmidt Show. Okay. And there's a Schmidt Show radio show and there's other stuff, and I go, I want to trademark it, and I couldn't find anything trademarked. So I paid a lawyer, and they dug around, and they go, yeah, there's a trademark on the show. So I mean, it helped, but I had to pay a lawyer to do it. So I'm not going to be able to trademark the show. Because they said it wouldn't make any sense. There's a trademark on the Schmidt Show.
Oh wow!
Right, but I'm Total Schmidt Show.
Okay.
And she goes, I would suggest not trademarking it because you can lose an argument with them too easily because they were trademarked first. Because you have a kind of a leg to stand on because I'm a play on the whole Total Shit Show thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But she goes, she goes, my suggestion as a lawyer is not to trademark it'll be difficult. For me to trademark it.
Because once you go through the trademark process where the trademark is accepted, then it's sent out to all the other people that hold a trademark.
And it may not be accepted because it'll get to a point where they'll go, we can't accept this because it's too close to this. So she goes, if I was you, and I paid her, that was like $800 for that one email. I'm like, oh, great, but you got to spend money if you're running a business on some of these things, and I don't know that stuff that well. I don't know shit about the law, or I have an accountant, so I pay money where it's needed to people because they do their job. If they do their job, my accountant has saved me thousands of dollars over the years because she found mistakes I was making beforehand. Okay. I had owed the IRS money when I went and saw her. She redid my taxes for 3 years and saved me like it was like $6,000. And then since then, I mean, she saved my ass. But she's an accountant. I pay her money to account.
Right. To account. Where's my money?
So I'm a big believer in spending your money to people that do their job.
Right.
But if you have a manager and they're not doing their job, you're kind of throwing money away. And it's almost like if you hire a brother to do something, or like I get it, you want to help a friend or whatever.
But it's a business.
It is a business, and at some point, if it happens more than a couple of times, you got to go. We can't do this anymore.
Right.
I got to find a different manager. But then it's just a matter of finding a manager, which is something I've never.
And then I've got to
I've never done
everything.
Right, and that's even harder because now a lot of managers don't get involved with another thing. That's a knock against maybe not so much you, but me for sure. Is that I'm older. Nobody wants to manage a guy that's almost 60. I'm a 60-year-old white monologist. You know what I mean? That's a comic. Right. And even in the comedy stores, told me to my face, "You're a 60-year-old white monologist. You're not going to be a regular here." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Because they want younger comics. They want newer. I understand the business. They want a different point. They first of all, from a manager's point of view, they want somebody when they're in their 20s because they're going to make money off this person for the next 30 years.
Right.
And I also think, I could die tomorrow.
Right. And I also think that they think about it like I don't want somebody that already knows how the business works.
That's the other thing too. That's a big thing because you're strong enough to go, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
And when you're 23, you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. I'm in. Go. You'll say yes to a million things. By now, you know your label, you know your market, you know your brand.
Right.
And there are certain things where you're like, that's great for me. That's absolutely not. That's not right for me. Right. But don't you think? No. Do you know Tom Rhodes?
I feel like
he's a comic. He's been around forever. He's a great comic, but he's a friend of mine. I've known him. He's still working. He works all the time. Mm-hmm. But he used to have really long hair, and he was on MTV back in the early MTV years, right when it came out. And he became hip and popular, and he got a development deal through one of the networks, and they gave him his own show, Mr. Rhodes, and he got it. And somehow they changed. He jokes about it all the time. He's like, I just said yes to everything. And they've ruined it. It was suddenly I'm a teacher, and they changed these things, and the show lasted maybe a year or maybe two, but But he's like, I just basically said yes to whatever they said. And then you hear these other stories of people like Roseanne and Brett Butler. Titus went through the same thing. Where they go, go, these guys are difficult. It's not that they're difficult. They know what they want.
They know exactly.
What they want. So when they're dealing with a showrunner and a producer and a network, and they're going, you got to do this. They're like, I'm not doing that.
No.
I am not doing that. I'm doing this.
Right.
And they're like, "Whoa, it's difficult." Well, no, he knows what he wants.
Right.
That's why they're. You know what I mean? I always laugh when I hear they're difficult. No, they're not. They just won't do what you want them to do.
Well, it's like there's this thing with black male comics too. That I've been asked if I would be caught up in that, because I do acting, and of course I do stuff on TV as like a TV personality, and I've had to let the TV production folks know, because I'm the only person of color that's in the face, you know, of the show. And they'd be like, yeah, so I figure we can, not to say that they've asked this, but they've asked some things that were kind of similar. Like, we can put Quincy in a dress, and it would just be so funny, because it'd be like, that's how a lot of black comics always get, it's not stigmatized, but it's done like, it's like, hey, all the greats did it. Richard Pryor did it.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy did it. And that's how they do it. And so they'll come to you with these things, and then because either you're chasing the dollar or you're chasing the opportunity to be great at who you are.
Right.
And so I've learned a long time ago, I don't chase the dollar.
Right.
I chase the opportunity to be great. The money will come.
Yeah.
If you're chasing all the money now, you'll find out, as that old adage, you F around and find out. If you F around long enough, you'll find out.
Yeah.
You'll find out that money is not all it is. I mean, Kanye West, as crazy as people think he is, he had one of the best quotes. Money is everything with it that it is without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't understand your worth, if it's all about money, then you'll get bent over twice.
Right.
Twice a day.
Yeah.
Ramrodded.
Well, if it's all about the money, then you're just a whore. That's basically what you're about. You're whoring yourself out just for cash. When at some point, which is a harsher ending to where we started this, where younger comics are trying to get discovered. I mean, there's a lot of things I did in my 20s, that I would have done in my 20s I wouldn't do now, you know what I mean, or whatever. But if somebody offers you you can have your own network TV show at 25, 27, you start, and then they start throwing that, well, Richard Pryor did it, so-and-so did it. I mean, it's easier for you to fall for that when you get younger. Also, you've already built your career. Like, you understand the business.
Right.
You get the business.
Right.
So they can't trick you. You know what I mean? It's really hard to fool. No, I know exactly. This is my act.
Right.
Well, what if you did? What if you pulled your dick out on stage? That'd be funny. No, it wouldn't. That's not my style, and that's not what I do.
And I'm going to jail.
Yeah, I'm going to jail. Yeah, but Lenny Bruce went to jail. Like, shut up. I'm not. You know what I mean?
I mean, but you got a chance.
They do anything. Yeah, they'll just. The younger you are, I guess, the more easily manipulated you are, or controlled. I mean, to their credit, I mean, there's a lot of them have succeeded. Younger comics are doing, they have careers and stuff. But that's the whole point of that is, when you do managers, especially in LA, they, not a lot of managers are knocking on my door, and even I couldn't approach a manager. They'd be like, we have no interest. We know what you have right now. You just have road money and you have ship money, and that's about it.
Quick question. So with me, I know my year that I got to the point where I said, you know what, I may not be that it comic. I may not be the comic that's that, but I'll be the comic that silently makes a decent amount of money and a living.
Right.
I want to say mine was maybe at 15 years.
Okay.
That's when it settled on, because I started at 23. So at 15 years doing comedy, I settled on the fact, you know what, this may not be for me to be the main person. Because I had an opportunity to go to LA years ago.
Right.
I had some people from the Comedy Store. They happened to be in Virginia Beach. They saw me at a club and they gave me a card. And they said, hey, you're pretty funny. You plan to come out to LA anytime soon? I said, I hadn't planned on it. So they gave me a card to the Comedy Store. It was some night that they used to run, like Arabia Comedy Night or something, like it was some night.
Right.
So they gave me the card. I take this card, and I'm young, 23, 24, and I take it to one of the veteran comics, and I said, some people from I didn't even realize what the Comedy Store was. That's my
really?
Yeah, I said, some people from a comedy store in L.A., that they want me to come there, and they talk about, oh, dude, the Comedy Store, that's the place where Richard Pryor, all the greats are. Why the fuck would they be in Virginia Beach here? Dude, that's trash.
Yeah.
And I listened to that, and
Right.
I never went out
Never
to
followed
LA.
out?
My first trip to LA was about almost 13 years after I started in
Right.
the business, and I realized this is the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
This is, wow.
The Mecca.
I messed this opportunity up when I got invited to come out there. So I got to the point around year 15. I said, okay, I've done everything that I needed to do or that I thought I should be able to do, but I have to realize I'm getting older.
Right.
So I can't, I'm not going to be that it person unless for some crazy reason I blow up on social media.
Right.
And now I'm getting dates all over the place. Like, what was that time frame for you?
Oh, it was different for me because when I started in LA,
Yeah.
and then I moved back to Chicago and studied improv, met my wife, came back to LA.
Yeah.
So when I came back to LA the second time with her, I did less stand-up. In fact, I was acting a ton.
Okay.
I was on a bunch of shows. I had recurrings on shows. I had a pretty decent acting career. I had a long resume and a ton of commercials.
Nice.
I mean, I was going on the road maybe 5 weeks a year. And then doing gigs around LA.
Okay.
But I was auditioning and I was up for I was up for Mike and Molly, Billy's part. I was up for, I read for I was reading for Clint Eastwood. I had acting. At that point, I was like, when I first moved to LA, I thought, oh, I'm going to move to LA and I'll get some attention as a stand-up. But I became acting more. So I was ready to not do stand-up anymore.
Oh, wow.
I was almost out. And then when I got divorced, everything changed. Because then the ship gig kind of fell in my lap when I got divorced, and then I got back on ships because I needed the money. I'll be honest with you, money was consistent cash, and I didn't want to do it. I was miserable when I first got here. I was like, oh, man, because I also was a hands-on dad, so I spent every morning with my kids. I used to have coffee with the principal. No shit, dude. I'd go to school, worked at the school, hung out. I taught a class on acting and comedy to kids. I did all these functions. I was really involved in every function at the school. So when I got divorced and moved out, it was like my whole world was turned upside down. And suddenly I'm on a ship with people I don't know. So at that point, I decided, you know what? I can't control where I'm at right now. But I just want to be the best comic I can be. Because that's the one thing I had control of was the shows. So I kind of fell back in love with stand-up. So this is about 15 years ago. Wow. So I felt rejuvenated. So I started to write more material, wrote about being divorced, wrote about the kids. I'm writing constantly. And then I got to a point right before COVID where I guess this is the end all. I'm going to be a ship comic, and this is it. I guess whatever. And then COVID hit. Yeah. And now I'm like, what the now?
Now is nothing.
Now there's nothing. I go, now what am I going to do? So that's when I started doing the podcast. So now I'm trying to digitize or monetize my digital footprint, which makes sense. I'm working really hard on my YouTube, and I put content up every week. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I know people in the long run, they go, I'm told, just keep doing it. I do a lot of different types of shows. I do a lot of podcasts, and I get all this stuff up there. I do a special, I do clips and all this stuff. So my goal is to monetize the channel in the long run, so I have money coming in from that. Good. And then I focus on, I work the ships and work the clubs. I would love to go back to LA, take some time off and act more, but it's too much of a crapshoot. Plus the business has changed. Big time. And you could work, when I was working before, like I said, I was a working actor, you could be a working actor. Right. You could be a blue guy that just did guest stars and day parts and commercials and make a living. I'm in the union. I got my pension through SAG. I got all that stuff. But the business has changed so much with streaming and the way they pay. Right. It's hard to be just a blue collar actor.
I wonder, like, how close are they to coming to a resolution?
I don't know, man. The writers settled, but I don't know. The writers came to a conclusion. I don't know how the actors are going to handle this. There's a huge problem right now with this AI thing.
Yeah, right.
And I got a couple of friends that have been screwed hard by it. Hard.
So kind of break that down then, because from what I understand, obviously it's artificial intelligence, but how is that affecting?
Here's how's the problem. They do this a lot where there's a friend of mine, Eric, I can't remember Eric's last name, Pazzola. He's in the board now, but he's involved in, also there's a strike. There's a gamer strike. There's a game, the union, they're striking against the games as well, the game platforms. So it's a SAG strike against the actors and SAG strike for the game platforms. Wow. Okay, and the deal is this: like they scan you and they put you into a video game. Okay, right, and your likeness, and you do the words and you talk and you play a character, but they have your likeness now. So now they have it. So now they can reproduce that likeness in other games without your approval. And they did it to Eric, where Eric was a doctor in a big game like Metal Gear Solid or something along those lines, or whatever, Grand Theft Auto, one of the major ones. He does a lot of work for games. But they digitized his character, they scanned it, and then they used it as an offshoot side game as a villain. And then that game kind of took off. So if you get this other game, sometimes when you get a game, there's the main game, and then there's like a tutorial or a side game. They used his likeness as a villain in another side shoot game that became popular. Now what that does is, first of all, they're using your likeness and not paying you,
right,
which is bullshit, right? But also, in the long run, it's costing him gigs because people won't hire him. His type is, he's a doctor, he's a pastor, he's a professional. He's not a bad guy. Right. But now he's a bad guy in a video game, so that can cost him a role as a priest or something in another gig, because they'll go, we can't associate you with this character because you're associated with this visual. And like if you're a producer and your kid's playing this game and you see a character, a bad guy, and you see the same guy 2 days later in an audition to be a priest or a pastor or something, you're gonna think to yourself, this guy's a bad guy in another video. I can't really use him because people know him as a bad guy. It costs you gigs in the long run.
But how do people know that is, so say like if your character or if your face, so is it like your actual face or just your voice?
It's your actual face. It's your whole it's you, dude. It's like a digital version of you. Game? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and now they have the technology to digitize you in different projects. They do it with extras all the time, or they've done it with extras. A lot of times you watch a game where there's a crowd of people. There's only 10 people back there. There's not 1,000 people. They re-digitize people to make it look like real people spread out throughout the way. And they're trying to get away from the fact, like if you're an actor and you do a role and they digitize you and they can use your likeness in another role and not pay you, anytime they use your likeness, you should be getting paid.
Right.
Bottom line. That's the bottom line. They're using your face
right,
because they're making money off your face, your likeness.
Right.
And B, again, it's costing you work in the long run.
But it saves them money on paying extras.
Sure. But and they digitize everybody now. Everything, people are getting digitized constantly. Every time you do an audio, every time they tape you, you're getting digitized. So people are catching. They're like, wait a second. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of instances where they're catching. Is that me, or is that so and so, or whatever? They can't get away with that. They can't. They can just do it now. There has to be something written somewhere that tells them they can't do it, because it's not happening in a grand scheme. But also it could be happening overseas. There could be movies in other markets that they're using your likeness for.
Right.
But you should be getting paid for your likeness, period, no matter what. And that's one of the biggest things that they're arguing about as far as the actors go.
Right, so it's the biggest thing pretty much since the whole Napster thing in the early 2000s.
It's the same, and the problem with the SAG thing is it's the same crap that after Napster, we fell for it when the DVDs came out.
Right.
They go, okay, well, we got to figure out this whole platform. We're going to figure it out. And then we went on strike, and they go, well, all right, we'll pay you some, because they weren't getting any money for the DVDs, okay? And then when the new media came out, it was the same thing. They go, well, it's going to take us a while to figure it out, and we're like, no, it's not. I go, don't. They always tell us that
they have it figured out.
They had it figured out years ago.
Yeah.
They see it coming. They know.
Right.
They're way ahead. Why is that stuff? That's weird. I hope that's still taping. Well, we're gonna find out. Oh crap, we're almost done. Oh, we got to wrap up. Rob's coming. But yeah, they can't get away. But they do that all the time, and it's a similar situation they're doing with stand-up now. If you're familiar with the Spotify thing that happened in the last year or two, this is, I don't talk about this too much on the show, but they're trying to find a way to make sure that when you get paid for your stand-up on the radio, on Sirius and X Media, they're also trying to find a way to make sure that you're getting paid to write that material. So whoever, and this came up with podcasts. There's a lot of people that write and don't perform on a podcast, and they want to be recognized. And they want to be paid. So they're trying to, and behind this is like Robin Williams' estate, George Carlin's estate, because a lot of stuff is being reproduced and constantly used. And like, wait a second, my dad's not getting any credit for writing that. And he should. So it blew up into everything to where if you have an album out, you should get paid for performing and for writing it. So when they brought this to Spotify and said, we think it's a time now with new media, the way things are. And Spotify goes, well, we're going to have to figure it out. And until we do, we're going to drop content from a whole bunch of comics. And they did. They cut a bunch of people loose on Spotify. Tons of people, they just stopped playing their stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and they go, well, when we figure it... Now, so it's a court battle. And when it happened, there was Lewis Black stepped up and said, you know what, then take my shit down. Because if you're going to take their stuff down, then I don't want my stuff played either. And there were a bunch of other comics that followed suit.
Nice.
Yeah, so there were certain comics that stood up and did it and said, but it's been a court battle. They lost a battle about 3 months ago. It's the same thing that happened with Napster, and eventually in the long run, it's going to settle and it's going to work in favor of the artist.
Right.
But they constantly try to push the envelope as far as they can because the artists are the ones that can't wait. We're the ones that I need my streaming money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Paramount can survive. They'll be all right. They just write it off, whatever they got to do. I got kids to feed. There's, I don't know, other comics that took a big hit. Yeah. And they're like, I don't get any more streaming, or my streaming got cut in half, or whatever. I mean, the big part of my money moving forward is my streaming. I've tried to find a way to digitize, and also not just money wise, body of work, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be gone someday. And it would be kind of nice if people saw what I did for 40 years.
Right. Yeah.
Or 30 years. I mean, I'm proud of my work.
Right.
Right. And
it lives on.
Yeah. Yeah. People can look at it and kind of see I have a voice. I have my own, I mean, I am who I am. And I like that. Even early on, when I didn't know what I was doing, I was the same guy. I just was not as good.
Just hadn't grown yet, right?
Right. You can see a little germs of, this guy's kind of good. I was always loud,
Right.
I was always loud and animated. The writing came later.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be able to look at your body work and see.
And I'm proud, and also see the growth. I really like watching. Well, I hate watching something old because I'm like,
I do the same thing. I'll be like, I got.
Why was I wearing that?
I got away with that.
Dude, yeah, I can't. There's really. I used to do an old bit about PMS. It was my closer for a couple of years. And I was in Chicago a couple of years ago, and somebody goes, "Can you do that PMS bit?" And I go, "No."
That bit is buried.
I go, "I will never do that bit again." And they're like, "Why?" I go, "I can't explain to you why, but it's a terrible bit."
Yes.
It's just a really bad. I have tapes of me closing with it. The closing line was so bad. I would go, "That's why it's called PMS, because it pretty much sucks." And I fucking slammed the microphone. Like I was.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I killed
it.
Look
at the crowd. Crowd's. I'm standing there. Good night.
I killed that.
Like I was making a big statement.
Right.
I watch those videos. I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad there wasn't digital media back then.
I've definitely done that. And the crazy part, like, had we had the opportunity to post our stuff back then, I think this current generation has been able to post their little clips. They'll look at that 15, 20 years down the road, and they'll probably say, dang, I put that out there like that?
Well, a lot of them won't be doing stand-up anymore. A lot of them won't be around anymore. Remember
true.
when I did this? Remember this? That was a fun couple of years.
Remember when I did
You know what I mean? I worry about that all the time. These kids, man, dude, it's even worse for, honestly, dude, when I have daughters, these girls on OnlyFans and Instagram, these hot little girls that are dancing around making money and getting cash. That's not a real good business model at 19.
They're going to be nanas.
Yeah.
Nanas.
Nanas?
Meemos.
Yeah.
They'll be like, I can't believe I was shaking my ass like that.
Well, I wonder how they're going to handle mentally going from making the money they're making now. Eventually, that's what happens. You're not doing it anymore.
I think that's honestly the issue where we're at economically with the workforce, because a lot of people don't want to physically go out and work anymore, because we found ways to be at home, upload content, and get paid for it, or do Uber and all that type of stuff. So I'm really interested to see how these companies who's always survived on having employees and having brick and mortar buildings and all that stuff, like how much longer is this going to go?
Well, I think they're trying to get away.
Struggling.
I bet those companies are trying to find ways to get rid of employees anyway. I think they want everyone to be living in the gig economy, which is the Uber and or whatever you're doing to make your side hustle, whatever you want to call it, because companies don't have to pay pensions and insurances and minimum wage and all these other things that they have to do. They want people to work on little bits at a time. That's part of the writer's strike was about that. They were trying to turn writers into a gig, more like us. We hustle for our work. We're always booking ahead. Writers, they get on a staff, and they're staffed for like, okay, I got a job for a year. You know what I mean? And then you get insurance. They get, a guild stuff. We don't get any of that crap. They were trying to get writers into that situation more. And then harder, like now it's even harder to get into the actors union. Same thing. You're going to make X amount of money in order to get into the union. You know what I mean? And then if you don't make that money, then you don't get into the union.
So in a lot of cases, it's not worth trying to get into the union?
Well, it in the long run, for me, it is still because I have a pension through them now.
Okay.
Like, so I will get a pension. It's not a ton, but I did. They have different rules for the way they do it, and it's not. Let me rephrase. You have to make X amount of money to get the insurance and stuff. I don't get the insurance anymore, but you have to pay to get into the union. The money to get in the union is ridiculous, from what I heard now.
Was it an annual thing?
What?
Is it an annual thing?
No, you pay one. It's called. You pay one time buy-in fee for. I think it's like $3,000 now. You pay $3,000 or whatever. But then you pay dues. I pay dues every year.
Okay.
And I keep paying the dues because then I'll get the pension when I can get the pension at. There's two different ways of getting the pension, and I'll get mine at 65.
Really?
Yeah, you can do. If you do 10 years in a row, you can get your pension at 55.
Okay.
If you do, if you do 10 years, you can get your pension at 55. If you do 5 in a row, you'll get your pension at 65. And I have 8 in a row. So I'm too shy of the 10 or whatever. You know what I mean? So I'll get the pension, but I won't get it till I'm 65. So that's basically the way it works out. But you need to make X amount of money to be getting insurance from them and all that other stuff. So that it's hard to make it. That's why it's so much harder to be a blue collar comic.
Right.
Because in order to make that money, you got to make I think it was back when I did it, it was $40,000 a year, 45 or 50 grand a year.
Oh, as a comic.
No, as an actor. I was making 45 or 50 grand a year as an actor.
Oh wow.
And that got me the insurance. I think I can't remember what the minimum was. I think it was 30 or something like that. I'm not familiar with what it is anymore because I don't do any acting work. I get all of it. Every week I'm doing stand up somewhere.
Yeah, and it's almost like I don't know if anybody told you, but you almost kind of your demeanor. Oh, that sounds like that's the other guest.
Yeah, that's right. Hold on.
Sound like your what is his name? Obviously popular comic that got canceled. Louis.
Oh, Louis
C.K. I wonder if anybody's ever told you because you almost have.
Oh, every once in a while I get that. I get it more. Also, ironically, I would get it material-wise because we have a lot of similar life things. Like we both have 2 daughters. Yeah. We both got divorced around the same time. There's a lot of things.
And your cadence is almost similar too, man.
He's a little more successful than me. He's not doing a podcast on a cruise ship right now.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah. No, I get the thank you. Dude, let's wrap it up. Dude, into the camera, give me your socials. Thank you, dude. This is great. It was dynamite.
Thank you. Hey, folks, you guys can always follow me on any of the platforms, either by Quincy Carr with 2 R's or Quality Comedy King. That's on TikTok and also on Instagram as well. So certainly appreciate you, Lenny, for giving me the opportunity, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for doing this. I wish we had more time. I should have timed it better.
Awesome.
All right. You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.